It finally seems that Biden is pressed for time for the evacuation of more than 22,000 Afghan civilians out of the capital of Kabul in Afghanistan. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Kyle Patrick, ready to keep you informed on the news and what's going on. So I was coming across this Reuters article. President Joe Biden pledges to evacuate thousands of Afghans who worked for the U.S. government will run into a very cold reality of a fast closing window of time because of Biden's poor planning. As one U.S. official told Reuters, too many things have to go exactly perfectly 100% correctly to execute this plan to evacuate 22,000 SIVs, special immigrant visas. The settlement groups say that this number of 22,000 is wishful thinking. This number will be difficult to reach now that the Taliban has taken control of the capital of Afghanistan. The Taliban, which is a fundamentalist religious group, started in Pakistan religious schools in some 20 plus years ago, a military organization. So far since July, there have been 2,000 of the 22,000 goal that have already been evacuated outside of Kabul into the United States, taking a refugee status. Realistically, it's going to be a challenge in order to achieve this goal. The article states the hope is to fly out between 5,000 and 9,000 per day when the Pentagon reaches full capacity with 6,000 troops on the ground in Kabul. So far, that goal of 6,000 troops on the ground at Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, they have only reached 4,000 troops to aid with the evacuation of the civilians outside of the city. Now, of course, this is no simple task. In order for these civilians to evacuate, they first have to get to the airport, which there are multiple Taliban checkpoints through the city. These civilians would have to evacuate through these checkpoints in order to reach the airport. And Biden assumes that, this is a master plan. This will go smoothly. Continuing along this article, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said on Monday that the White House has received reports of people being beaten outside of the airport, even though the Taliban had agreed to follow civilian safe passage. What a shock. We're supposed to trust the Taliban for their every word, because that's definitely what we were supposed to do for the last 20 years. What have we learned? Trust the Taliban. If they say they're not going to beat civilians that are trying to evacuate from their city, from their control, you should just believe them, right? The Taliban beating up citizens on their way to the airport to evacuate the city. And we're supposed to trust them, even though they claim to have agreed to allow them safe passage. And to make matters worse, this sounds like poor planning. The Biden administration, this sounds like a lack of situational awareness. They are crunched for time. The Pentagon stated they wanted to start evacuating weeks ago, but it would have looked bad for Biden evacuating all these Afghanistan civilian refugees into these military bases in our country. Wouldn't look good for his campaign, so obviously that's more important. And he stated that he would rather have sent these civilians to third world countries just to make him politically look good. Crunched for time, the Pentagon was supposed to initiate this plan weeks ago using military planes, transferring them to multiple military bases throughout the U.S. Instead, it's been commercial planes and only one base in Virginia. So they've only been evacuating refugees into the Virginia military base, opposed to they were supposed to disperse them throughout the military bases throughout the states. Resettlement groups have said for months that at least 80,000 SIV applicants and their families need to be evacuated. So first it was supposed to be 22,000. Now it's 80,000? Does this seem right? 22,000. So these special immigrant visas, first in the article says 22,000. Now it's saying 80,000, according to these resettlement groups. Two U.S. officials told Reuters that Biden was concerned about the political impact of the large number of Afghan refugees flowing to the United States, preferring they just be sent to third world countries, as I stated before. He thought it would look bad. So Biden stating that it doesn't look good, yet our border is perfectly fine. Yeah. These refugees from Afghanistan are, pretty concerning. Doesn't look good on his end. and his administration, but it's perfectly okay to have 2+ million illegal immigrants flowing over our Mexican border, which has reached an all-time high within the last 20 years. Earlier this year, Biden delayed a decision to raise the cap for refugee admissions due to the political optics, U.S. officials told Reuters at the time. On Monday, during Biden's speech, he states some of the Afghans did not want to leave earlier, still hopeful for their country. So apparently between the 80,000 refugees that want to evacuate, now all of a sudden the reason he's stating that he took so long and procrastinated on it was, well, they didn't really want to evacuate anyway. They still have high hopes for their country, some of them. So I guess that's a good reason, apparently. And of course, surprise, surprise, this comment has stunned officials and refugee groups who have been working for years to streamline the lengthy process to get Afghan SIV applicants out of Afghanistan. People have been stuck waiting for visas for years. Betsy Fisher, Director of Strategy at International Refugee Assistance Project. To me, that was extremely appalling to see that language coming out from the White House, Fisher said. Surprise, surprise. So basically, for Biden to suggest that these refugees do not want to seek refuge here in the U.S., it's utterly inconsistent with what they're seeing on the ground. Because of Biden's procrastination, raises question, how are they going to get thousands of refugees evacuated out of the city of Kabul? They were supposed to do this months ago, and they've been talking about it. We've been hearing nothing but talk, evacuation by September. That was one of Biden's promises, and they're waiting till August 31st to evacuate 80,000. Let me know what you think. Comment down below any opinions or on the matter of what you think. Do you think Biden is handling this appropriately? I don't think he is. I'll be uploading. I'm gonna try for once a day. I still work, so I do have a job, but I will try to upload as much as possible. I prefer daily, but if I miss a day here or there, I'm gonna try and keep consistent. So I appreciate for all who's watching, and I appreciate you and appreciate the support and just checking me out. Thank you, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.